Judas Iscariot is a very interesting character for us. So we think about this name Judas. What a lot of scholars point to is they point to Judas as being chosen by Jesus for the purpose of representing all the Jewish people. Now, that might be new. That's not something that we necessarily hear every day. But a lot of biblical scholars think that Judas was Jesus' choice as sort of a stand-in for all of the Jews. The first thing that we see here is we see something about his name, the name Judas. If we were to look at this, it's in your notes here, but in the Greek, Judas's name is Judas, whereas the name of Jew is Judas. You hear how close those two are? Judas, Judas. And so it's really only a half of a syllable difference. So his name really is almost indicative of the people who will betray him. Furthermore, Judas is the only Judean Jew among the 12 disciples. All other 11 disciples or apostles are Galilean Jews. Judas is the only Judean Jew. He comes, we believe, from a town called Kirioth, which would be in the southern part of Judah near the land of Edom. So he's the only Judean Jew. Now, the Judean Jews were known as sort of the highbrow Jews. The Galilean Jews, they were sort of the stepchild. They were the ones who were kind of, well, I guess they're Jews, but we, the Judean Jews, we are the real Jews. This is where Jerusalem is. This is where the land of Judah, this is the land that stayed faithful to God in the Old Testament, or more so than the northern kingdom did. So the Judean Jews, the southern Jews, they're sort of the highbrow. They're sort of the ones who think of themselves as the real Jews, the true Jews. And Judas is the only one among them. And then his name itself is so close to the very name of the people. So many people think of that and they speculate. Jesus chose him as a representative of all of the people who will betray him. And who betrayed him? His own. He came unto his own, and his own knew him not. And his own were the ones who gave him over to the Gentiles. So that sort of has some traction with me. I don't know if it has a lot of traction with you, but it has some traction with me to think of Jesus choosing the one whom will be literally the symbolic stand-in for all of the people who will reject him, and that's the one who will betray him. And furthermore, we see some more similarities with this man, Judas, because if we think through the story, we know how Judas betrays Jesus, and after betraying Jesus, he destroys himself, he kills himself. So also, after Israel betrayed Jesus, they also destroyed themselves within about 3 decades through their foolish resistance to Rome, and that eventually ended up in their total destruction. Or we think of Judas, who was the trusted keeper of the money. Remember how Judas was the trusted keeper of the money? So also were the Jews the trusted keeper of God's treasure, the Scriptures. And there's other parallels that we see. There's many parallels that say to us, I think there's something to this, that Jesus is choosing Judas as the symbolic stand-in for the very people who would betray him. And Jesus wanted to take this man as though symbolically taking all of his people into his confidence, into his close association, to share table with him, to break bread with him, to sleep with him, to walk with him, to do all these things with him, and then yet to betray him for 30 pieces of silver.